Shah, and thanks for tuning into the market wrap. I'm Niraj Shah, and that looked like the markets had a really rough expiry. I must say that much as I and a few of the people felt that it was a great time to do contra longs, I think people who probably did that, unless they were very selective, might have gotten caught on the wrong foot. I still think that you could probably start seeing that in a day or two, but for now, it's not quite turned out that way, and this is despite the world markets not doing all that bad. So I think the expiry, and maybe it's the year-end expiry, and there are some tidings around what happens in the year-end accountings as a result of which this could have happened. But be that as it may, the long and short of it is that we had a rough day today, about 1.5% for the Nifty. And mind you, I mean, the best of names have fallen by the wayside today. Surprise, surprise. While yesterday was a day of defensives, today not necessarily, because companies like Tata Steel and JSW Steel, for example, Morgan Stanley initiated a call on them yesterday. Tata Steel fell 5% in trade yesterday and has recouped some of those losses. But a clutch of other names fell. Maruti, there was a CLSA downgrade there. The OMCs, and never mind what's happening to the BPCL divestment. BPHP, IOC continue to face some pressure. IOC was amongst the top losers today. And then defensives like HUL fell about 3.5% today. Airtel, Idea, all of them fell. And mind you, Reliance has fallen in 10 out of the last 12 sessions. That tells you a story about how weak and wobbly this market has looked thus far. The question is, can it change in the next few days? Something tells me about the screen that it could. The world is not in a one-way street for India to be, and therefore now that the expiry is behind us, somehow I think that things could turn around. But let's wait and watch. What about the broader end of the spectrum? Let's bring that up. And it was looking very roughshod for a better part of the trading day, and which is why you see the market breadth looking so abysmal. 71 stocks declining to advancing to 429 decline, and I can tell you with strong conviction that a lot of the FNO stocks, and there's the high yielding or stocks which have gained quite a bit, would have corrected quite strongly as well in the session today. Or stocks which are in the FNO band were not able to recover. Vodafone Idea, for example, right, in the FNO band, of 8.5% down today, sub 9 rupees now. This was the level that Vodafone Idea was there on the Muhurat trading session day. From there, I think these stocks have moved up 40-50% and given up 40-50%. So as much as we would like to think that the markets are in ship shape, a lot of stocks have gone everywhere and come back to square one. That's the nature of the move. Sterling Wilson, they did this large deal, went up 15-16%, and today down about 8.5-9%. Wapco, because of the block deal that they did, 7.5% lower. There was weakness in Future Retail, AU Small Finance Bank. Future Retail, it's 51. When they did the deal with Reliance, the stock was at 75 rupees. Can you imagine the wealth destruction there? I mean, Dishmet Carbogen, Amber Enterprises, both Amber and Dixon have had a rough shot last few days. Today, Dixon was down about 7-8% at a point of time and then ended about 2% lower. So a lot of stocks correcting. Least you think I'm only trying to scare you. No, let's just quickly just look at the gainers as well. If you can just go back to the graphic for a minute, there's some stocks which did okay. So Eris Life Sciences about 4.5, Natco about 2.5, Alchem. And remember this morning in the trade setup, we were talking about how pharma was starting to see some bit of gains. Cipla was testimony to that yesterday. Today, the broader end of the spectrum has done well. I think there was some conversation around the government allowing oil firms to sell E100, ethanol 100 directly, which means 100% blend ethanol as a fuel additive will be allowed to be sold. I don't know if the market believes in its wisdom that Praj will do all of that machinery, but the stock was up on a really rough day for the mid caps today. I urge all of you, by the way, to log on their website and try and hear the interview that Praj Industries gave us when they talked about the next few months and years for the company. So that did okay. And SAIL had an okay day. So today, the steel company certainly stood out in the session. Now, the question is, what the cues could be for our markets over the course of the next couple of sessions, and will we recover from this slump? Remember, it's a very narrow week for our markets next one, because we have three working days, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and therefore tomorrow is the last trading session before a fairly long weekend, wherein the global markets would be operational on Monday, and therefore I don't know how much of risk taking can happen. But for whatever it's worth, let's try and figure out what the world markets are doing currently, and therefore what are the cues for us in tomorrow's session individually. So the European markets are trading with small losses. I mean, there are mixed concerns over recovery, but the PMIs have offered some positive surprise, and that's actually a good sign. And frankly, if you look at The Dow futures, I think while the COVID surge is weighing in on sentiment, the futures are still okay. The only problem, and by the way, these are the spot rates, so don't look at them on the US markets. The US futures are trading marginally in the green. The only problem, as I see it, is that the markets would want to, and now the Indian markets is not trading. But yesterday too, the US markets looked okay, were trading okay for a better part of the trading session, and then slipped quite unceremoniously. So, could that happen today? Sure, could, right? But for now, they're trading in the green, and therefore, could there be some respite for Indian markets tomorrow if the US markets end okay? I think that's the key question. Somehow, after so many days of a pullback, you might well of a drawdown, you might well see a bit of a pullback in the days to come. Let's wait and watch. Tomorrow is another day, and I think we'll be able to better analyze the movements on the trade setup after looking at all the charts as well as the flows, etc. So maybe tomorrow's trade setup would give a better indication of what could happen in the near term. For today, the wrap just tells you that it wasn't a pretty day, more so for the broader end of the spectrum. But watch out. Metals, real estate, some of the pockets which are poised for recovery. Let's wait and watch if that happens. Thanks so much for tuning into this market wrap, and please stay safe.